Welcome to our Globethics webinar on integrating ethics across the curriculum. I'm Maria Eugenia Barboso, Regional Manager for Latin America and the Caribbean at Globethics. It's a pleasure to have you with us as we explore how ethics can be integrated into a very discipline in higher education. We are honored to kick off today's session with a few words from Fadi Dao, the Executive Director of Globethics. Fadi, over to you.
Thank you, Eugenia. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for this important webinar where we are launching the first outcome of a two-year now research with the Competence Center, Globethics Competence Center, that is based at Universidad de Los Andes. And I would like first to thank the university, Uniandes, to thank the staff at the university, the leadership of the university for the very important engagement and work that is leading us to this first public presentation of the outcomes of the research. So thank you, Dr. Manuela Fernández Pinto, and thanks for all the team at Uniandes for this great collaboration. So the topic of our webinar is on integrating ethics across the curriculum. And this is, in fact, the research that we wanted to develop with Uniandes, with our competence center, to assess the situation and also to come out with some key recommendations, policy recommendations, which would be helpful for higher education institutions, not only in Latin America and the Caribbean, where also our regional center, who is collaborating on this project, is based, but also across the world, everywhere. And this is why also we have in this webinar also discussants from from the African continent, from Kirinyaga University. Thank you also, Professor Jane Kerubo, for joining us for this discussion. And also from Europe, Dr. Ivana Zagorac, also thank you for joining us from Zagreb, from Croatia, for this discussion. So this is a sign that the question of ethics is fundamental, is essential for higher education all over the world. And let me finish by saying that this webinar for us is a sign of hope in a moment of disturbance in our world. We are all, I think, challenged by the situation, the global situation, geopolitical situation of our world. And if it's not the major reason, at least it's one of the main reasons of the situation is the lack of ethics and ethical leadership. And we do believe that ethical leadership are those who would fix the global situation and help the world to become more inclusive, more just, more sustainable for all, and share a flourishing future, all of us. And this cannot happen without the role of higher education institutions and universities, because the leader of today were our students yesterday in our classrooms and universities. And if we want and we hope to have better ethical leadership and ethical leaders and responsible governance, this means that we need to maybe look at what we are delivering in our classrooms today in our universities and see how we can include more capacity building in ethics and ethical leadership. This is, I would say, our hope, our aim from this research process and from all what we do at the Globethics. Let me end by thanking again all those who joined us and are still joining us. We are now more than 60 participants in this webinar, and also thanks the Competence Center, Uniandes University, all the great collaboration together, and also all the speakers, our regional center, so Maria Eugenia and Veronica for the great collaboration for organizing this webinar. And let me just say that this is just the beginning, because today we are all pleased to hear the outcomes, the first outcomes of this research, but we will have much more in the coming months and years. And I will leave it to Manuela to confirm this and give us some appetite also for what is still to come. So thank you, everybody, and enjoy the webinar.
Thank you very much, Fadi, for setting the stage and for your unwavering support for responsible governance in education. To guide us through the core findings of our recent work, I'm delighted to introduce today's presenter, Manuela Fernández Pinto, former head of the Center for Applied Ethics and now director of the Department of Philosophy at Universidad de los Andes. Manuela will share the main results and key insights from the paper Ethics Across the Curriculum, Experiences and Recommendations from a research university in Latin America. I also would like to tell you that you feel free to post your question in the Q&A box at any time during the session. We will address them during our Q&A live. Manuela, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Fadi, and thank you, Maria Eugenia. And so let me share here my screen. I don't know if you're seeing the right one. Give me a sec. It was just working perfectly.
Yes, now it's working.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes,
Okay, perfect.
perfectly.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you to Globethics for opening this space for us to present our work. As Maria Eugenia and Fadi were saying, we've been collaborating with Globethics as part of the Competence Centre on Ethics in Higher Education since 2023. This collaboration, among other things, entails the development of 3 research projects, all around ethics in higher education. And we are here today in order to present our first results on one of our projects that we call Ethics Across the Curriculum, Experiences and Recommendations. This is a project that is based or builds upon the work that the Center of Applied Ethics at Uniandes has done for the past 10 years. We have developed a model for teaching ethics across the curriculum that we want to share with you. And part of the research process that we engaged in the past year and a half was tied to understanding the accomplishments of this model in the university with some of the data that we had gathered with professors and students, but also conducting a process of reflecting upon the successes, but also the challenges of this model, and some recommendations that we really want to put out there so that perhaps others who are also engaged in models of teaching ethics across the curriculum or are willing to open such a model in their own higher education institutions can follow. So this is basically our goal today. I want to show you the team that has been working on this research project for the past year and a half. So these are my colleagues: Linda Zuluaga, Didier Santiago, Gonzalo, and Maria Natalia. Maria Natalia is our research assistant, and Linda, Didier, and Gonzalo are all part of the Center of Applied Ethics. So this is the purpose of my talk today. I would like to introduce the model that we've developed at Uniandes for teaching ethics across the curriculum, to offer actionable recommendations for integrating ethics into educational frameworks for those of you who are interested in doing so, and to inspire other faculty and educators to design and test new strategies for ethical training. We're very open. So the second phase of this project is in particular to find institutions, other institutions of higher education in the world who might be willing to collaborate with us and engage in some sort of comparative project regarding different models. So we're very open to hear from you if you have such a project or such model at your university. So to tell a little bit about the context where this model began, of course, we were seeing, especially right now, accelerated technological evolution, constant changes in the labor market, and growing social demands. As Fadi was saying, we are currently today facing particularly challenging scenarios with respect to ethics, but also with respect to the teaching of ethics in higher education. We have ethical dilemmas due to globalization, AI, social networks, and new forms of knowledge generation and dissemination. And I would like to add, especially right now, we have so many ethical dilemmas growing from an erosion of democracy worldwide that we think are, that I think are at center stage. And of course, the lack of preparation in ethics can affect professional integrity and have serious societal consequences. We've seen also, we all know, if we're interested in ethics, we all know a series of corporate scandals, corruption, the climate crisis, and so forth, many times due not to people who are evil or bad per se, but perhaps people who are ignorant or negligent, who just do not pay attention to these ethical dimensions of what they're doing. So this is the big challenge: how to make ethics center stage, relevant, so that our students know what are the ethical aspects, dimensions that they have to be worried about when just developing their careers and working in whatever they are going to work on in the future. So this is like the framework where we're working on in ethics education. Let's talk a little bit about how ethics is taught at higher education institutions. And from what we've seen, ethics is often taught in implicit and uncoordinated ways. It is very common either to have an ethics course that is mandatory for all students, but it's like disentangled from the curricula of their different disciplines. Or we also have the different professions have their own ethics courses, right? So it is very common for instance, students of medicine to have a medical ethics course, students of law to have an ethics course, but very particular to certain professions. These courses, especially when it's like one mandatory course at the beginning of the years in college or at the university, is seen as very tangential by the students, right? They don't really care about what they're seeing in this course because the course itself is kind of uncoordinated with the rest of their curriculum. So this is not contributing to helping students understand the importance of ethics in their work later in their professional lives. On top of that, we have lack of necessary tools and training for effective ethics teaching among faculty. So faculty also feel that the teaching of ethics, should be done by experts, people who specialize in this. So only perhaps the philosophers can teach ethics. And so ethics is seen as something that others should be doing. So if I'm an engineering or if I'm a biologist, I have nothing to do with ethics per se. So there's this disconnection in the curricula and also among faculty members about how to teach ethics as part of their discipline. So we really wanted to attack that. And to do that, we were inspired by a number of teaching ethics programs that have been developed for the last, I'm going to say 20 years or so. This is a community that is actually called the Society for the Teaching of Ethics. And they have developed different strategies to teach ethics across the curriculum. So the main idea of all these initiatives is that ethics should be taught in every discipline as part of the curriculum, that is, as part of the traditional courses for students in these disciplines. So we have a number of examples here. So I'm just gonna mention the Utah Valley University program, which was one of the first. This was developed by Professor Engelhardt, one of the first programs of teaching ethics across the curriculum. So she started with a general education humanities course in ethics and values. And the idea was that she was preparing especially a graduate assistants to take like a core formation or training in teaching ethics that then was going to multiply in other in other courses in the university. We have also different models in Drexel, in the Colorado School of Mines, in Dartmouth University. In Dartmouth, for example, faculty have a year-long program which includes seminar on moral psychology, ethical theory, and case-based teaching methods. So they are really into the train-the-trainer model. They really want to train either grad students who are going to be TAs afterwards, or their tenure faculty who are then going to teach in their own disciplines, their courses, but with a special emphasis on ethics. And this is like the spirit of all these initiatives has to do with training the trainer model. So let me talk a little bit about our own model. So our teaching ethics across the curriculum model at Uniandes is also based on a train-the-trainer model. So our idea is to train faculty to teach ethics in their own disciplinary courses. Courses which are designed through this process are marked as Epsilon. We call them Epsilon courses. And they are especially marked when students are going to decide which courses to take the next semester. They can see in the grid which ones are Epsilon courses, that is, which ones are have been specifically designed to develop ethical skills. And students have to take a number of mandatory Epsilon courses. This has been a long way in the making. So of course, on day one, we didn't have this mandatory requirement. We started working with a very small group of faculty members who were not philosophers and didn't teach ethics, but were interested in doing it because they saw like a very organic fit in their own courses with ethics training. So they were interested in teaching ethics in their own courses, and we started with this very small group. And then we started growing, and after some years, we made the relevant requirements in the university so that this became actually a requirement for students. So students have to take, I think, for at least two Epsilon courses before they graduate, and they have to fulfill this requirement in order to graduate. And these courses are, you know, across the board. We have Epsilon courses in every school at the university, in every discipline. Some programs, and this is the broader goal, some programs have even integrated these Epsilon courses in their curriculum. So we've been working with particular programs. I'm thinking about biomedical engineer, for instance, who called us and they asked us to decide in their curriculum for the whole biomedical engineering program which courses in their curriculum made sense that they were Epsilon courses. Yeah, were student in which parts of the curriculum students were supposed to take ethical to engage in ethics training in their courses. And so we decided in specific places in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end of the program, which courses were going to become Epsilon, and we did a whole curricular design with them. So that's like the broader goal, right? So if every program did this at the university, that would be ideal. We're not there yet, but we're working with them so that more and more faculty members are able to teach Epsilon courses. And we've seen more and more programs who are getting more interested in actually incorporating the Epsilon courses in a focused and, you know, designed way in their curriculum. So the purpose, the main goal of this is, of course, so that ethics is seen as an essential component in professional and citizenship training for every student in every discipline, and also for every professor, right? So that every professor is empowered to teach ethics because they understand it is important for their own profession and discipline to do this. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about the Center of Applied Ethics. We call it CEA for its name in Spanish. Our mission is to promote ethical reflection in all areas of the university's mission: training, research, institutional development, and community engagement. And we're mainly a center focused on faculty support. So what we mainly do is support faculty members in all schools at the university to train their students in teaching ethics. So to do that, we also do other things. We have international collaborations, such as this one with Globethics. We also do some external training in Colombia with our institutions, but we mainly do faculty support. And in order to develop this model for teaching ethics across the curriculum, we developed what we call the CFO course, for its name in Spanish as well. But this is a course for including ethics in higher education in general. So I'm going to tell you about the course in a minute. But the other thing we do is that we develop pedagogical resources and organization of awareness raising activities throughout campus so that students and professors get engaged in the teaching of ethics at the university. We also want to inspire a culture of being ethical at the university. So we also do training not only with students and faculty, but also with administrators, so that everyone is on the same page regarding the importance of ethics at the university. Okay, so how do we develop Epsilon courses? We have the CFO course. This is the course where we train our professors to teach ethics in their own disciplines. The course is developed in modules. It has 3 modules. One is focused on learning outcomes. Another one is focused on activity design, and finally on evaluation and strategy. So as you can see, this course is designed so that professors can incorporate ethics in their syllabi, basically. So they have to think of learning outcomes. So what are the learning objectives of their course that are going to be tied to the ethics training? Then we help them develop activities that are focused in achieving those learning outcomes. And there, I think the course does like a very interesting mix between giving faculty material and tools to teach ethics, but also giving them pedagogical tools to teach ethics. So we're also very focused on the pedagogical aspect of the teaching of ethics. Of course, we also give them the theory, and our faculty members understand the difference between, I don't know, utilitarianism and the ontological ethics and so forth. But they also have a lot of pedagogical tools. So they also learn a lot of activities of active collaboration so that they can put their students to work in groups and, you know, engage in active learning. So this is not a class on Kant and everyone has to learn Kant. No, this is a class where they actually engage actively in different activities in their own disciplines that are tied to ethical reflection. And the last module is on evaluation strategy. And this is very important because most of our faculty members are really key on teaching ethics, you know, having a learning outcome, developing activities in their course, but they really struggle with evaluating those. So they really don't feel prepared to evaluate anything that has to do with ethics in their courses. So we really focus on developing evaluation strategies that make sense for them so that they can evaluate them in their own courses. The course is developed in 4 synchronous sessions lasting 2 hours each. And the goals are to provide tools for teaching ethics across various fields of study. So these are tools that are very general and can be applied to any discipline, really. And we help educators design pedagogical sequences that make ethical training visible. So part of the things that we do and that a faculty member can do, for instance, is to develop their own case studies for their own discipline. So we help them do that so that students can, for instance, analyze a case in their own discipline. We also focus on things like there are many courses in disciplines in the sciences and in engineering, for instance, and in business schools as well, that are working groups. So this is another way in which you can incorporate ethics in the syllabus, is to engage in group dynamics that foster ethical collaboration. So we train our faculty members with the CFO course to develop a syllabus where they incorporate the ethics, and then they present us the end result, the syllabus reformed to incorporate the ethics component. We evaluate the syllabus, and then if we consider that is well aligned, that it has the learning outcome, the activities, and the evaluation strategy, so that the ethics can be taught properly in that course, then it is approved as an Epsilon course, and then it becomes part of the offer for the course offer for our students, and they can see that it is marked as Epsilon so that they can take it. Okay, so what has been the impact of our model? We have trained over 500 faculty members at Uniandes. This is, I think, a very significant number of professors. We have around 700 tenure track professors and around the same number of adjunct faculty at the university. So I think 500 is around a third of our professors, and I think that's a very significant number. We're very proud of that number. But we've also trained more than 180 external instructors. So this course in particular, the CFO course, is also offered as part of the Globethics course offer. So if any of you are interested in this course, we offer this course through the Globethics website as part of another of the projects of this competence center with Globethics. We're also translating the course from Spanish to French. And our hope is that eventually we can also even translate it to English so that we can start teaching the course in other languages and not only in Spanish. But we have been teaching it as part of the Globethics offer in Spanish for many years now, and we do it on a regular basis. With respect to student development, we hope we have, and we've also fostered ethical competences, critical thinking, socio-emotional skills, and citizenship. Also, as I was saying, group work is teamwork is also one of our goals, and we aim for the development of a university-wide moral culture and an overall sense of ethical empowerment. So the idea that each faculty member and each program has to take responsibility for the teaching of ethics with their own students. Okay, and now for the last part, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the recommendations that we've developed as part of this research process. So we did some focus groups with our staff and the people who have taught the CFO course at Uniandes, and the experiences of what has worked and has not worked for the past years at the university. So here are some recommendations for those of you who are willing or hoping to develop a similar model in your higher education institutions. We think having an interdisciplinary team with experts in ethics, pedagogic, adult education, and educational technology has been really a strength of the program. So only having ethicists or only having pedagogical experts would not have been enough for what we are doing. We were really trying to do something interdisciplinary so that professors had really practical tools to do this in their programs. We have needed a lot of time to design, implement, and evaluate the program, and we think it has worked better when we have had enough time actually to think this in the long term and think of when to design, when to implement, and when to evaluate the program. With respect to the curricular design, we think in order for this to work, it has to be fully integrated into academic curriculum. So as we were saying, we're not yet completely there, we're halfway there. We really want the programs to take this at the curricular level seriously so that ethics is integrated in a well thought and intentional way in the whole curriculum. We've been very successful at convincing individual faculty members that they should do it in their courses, but of course that is only the first level. The second level is the curricular level, which is a broader and more challenging level. But we thought it was a good strategy to start with a voluntary phase and then make it a mandatory requirement. So starting with a small group of professors who are convinced that this is important and then scaling the model up. With respect to the university administrative staff, we thought it was important to include the administrative staff in the design of the teaching model so that it makes sense. So yeah, so that the scaling up makes sense, right? Because if you have program coordinators, for instance, involved in what's going on from the beginning, not only faculty members, but also program coordinators, then it makes sense for them to integrate it at the curricular level in their program and not only at the course level. We didn't do it like this. We started with the professors, the faculty members, and then we started talking with the academic coordinators. But now we think that it would be like a posteriori. We think that having done that from the beginning would have been a good idea. Providing pedagogical and technological support for faculty. This is extremely important. So just giving them the theoretical content is not enough at all for producing this model. Some disciplinary elements, so ensure that each discipline recognizes its impact on ethical training and provide specific examples and cases aligned with each discipline. So to make ethical reflection part of the discipline, like a realistic part of the discipline and not something very abstract that people don't understand. So this has been also, I think, part of the success in the model, that we've been able to make it relevant for the practice in each discipline. Regarding the course participants, encourage willingness to learn and foster commitment. And as part of this, we've also created a community of practice for sharing experiences and good practices. This has been hugely successful. This has been proven at the pedagogical level to work. So communities of practice are really successful at making people engage with whatever they are teaching, but it has proven successful in our university. So we have what we call the Epsilon meetings. We meet every month with faculty members who are interested, who have done the CFU course, who have an Epsilon course, and now are interested in furthering their ethical competency and tools for training students. So we meet once a month, and maybe one professor talks about their experience with their own class, and we all ask questions and learn from what they are doing. This community of practice has been really important for achieving our goals and creating community with a group of faculty who are interested in maintaining this, and also to multiply the message in their own schools. So just to wrap up in the minute that I have left, so in order for the model to work down the road to ensure long-term sustainability, we need clear institutional policies and resource allocation. So these, of course, we started really small and we're trying to scale up. So this is a challenge, of course, to foster spaces for reflection and dialogue among students, faculty, and administrators. We've been very successful with the community of practice, but perhaps we need more spaces for students, administrators, and others. to adapt strategies to diverse and multicultural contexts. So we started 10 years ago, so we didn't face things like generative AI, you know. So yeah, we have to adapt to the context that we're facing every time and explore the role of technology in strengthening ethics education, which is, you know, a topic that I know everyone here is interested in or worried about given our current challenges. I think I'm just on time. Thank you very much. This is our email address. If you want to reach us, or if you have any comments, suggestions, future collaborations, please write to us. We're very interested in hearing from you.
Thank you, Manuela, for that clear and inspiring presentation. Those actionable recommendations will surely help institutions to foster ethical competencies among students. I'm now pleased to introduce our two respondents who will reflect on how these findings resonate in every different context. First, I will introduce Jane Kerubo, professor in the Department of Education at Kirinyaga University in Kenya, whose work on ethics and integrity in higher education emphasized gender equality and a robust qualitative research methods. Please, Jane, over to you.
Thank you very much, Maria, for the introduction, and Manuela for the good presentation. I don't know if I can share my screen. I liked reading what has been presented, and I think the Center for Applied Ethics has done a good job. There is a lot of things that I have picked from reading the paper that was shared with me. I see that they are advancing a model of ethical transversalization, which touches on most aspects of the university, or what universities do, namely education, research, institutional development, and community engagement. And the aspiration is for ethics to become the driving force of the university of the future, which we all agree is true, because when I looked at the origins, why it came to be, they asked themselves the question, are we doing enough? And my answer, even now, is that we are not, and there is need to do more, as is being proposed by this model. I have identified a number of strengths of the model, which I think if we are interested, we can copy. The fact that the center or the model or the center is located in the office of the provost, this is very important for any strategy that we want to introduce in our universities, because it gives us institutional reach and interdisciplinary action. Congratulations for that. The fact that you had support from the Academic Council in 2018, you have also managed to be recognized by the Ministry of Education, and finally, international recognition by the Globethics.net. I think this is very important for anyone who wants to propose a model for ethics across the university curriculum. And then the foundation and conceptual framework is very good as being proposed by this team. The fact that we have realized that ethics is a cross-cutting area, which has various facets, as they have clearly outlined in their report. I like the conceptual framework, especially when they are talking about ethics through life, ethics throughout life, ethics across the curriculum, and ethics across the university. I think when I read the paper, this has been done very well over the 10 years. I see most of the work that was done during this period was to lay the foundation and entrench the center and the ethics across the curriculum. I like the lines of action proposed, which are aimed at targeting questions which most of us have and our students, what should I do, and the character education, how should I live, and the courses that have been proposed by this center will go a long way to help the students and even us as faculty to answer these questions. The student-centered pedagogy practices, I think my observation is that I didn't quite get this clearly from the paper that I read, but I'm saying that this needs to be expounded upon more. And I'm wondering, I'm a professor of education. In one time, I teach common university courses. I have 600 to 700 students. So I'm wondering whether the pedagogy proposed or suggested, which is a case study, is possible when you are dealing with large class sizes and few academic staff. I would like Manuela to really say how they have their experience with the handling large classes in during their time. The teacher training is very good, how to introduce ethics in the university curriculum. I think the approach proposed here or used is good. The methods used for evaluation of this experience, you have mentioned the course assessment, self-evaluation, external assessment, which has been at the regional and global by Globethics University ranking. What I found that needs to be brought out more, although it has been expounded in the presentation now, I didn't see it in the paper. Projection, the paper I read appeared to suggest that nothing will change going forward, but now Manuela has said we are worried about the effect of technology. In the paper you said we will continue doing what we have done. I am keen to know the methods that can be used to evaluate graduates of ethics that have undertaken the courses that you have shared with us this afternoon. In your observation or opinion, do you think the students who have undertaken these Epson courses or the professors that have integrated, do you think students are behaving differently? Are we seeing more ethical actions, decision making? The challenge we are experiencing in Kenya now with the university students is a lot of suicide. Most of them are suffering stress, mental illness, and they are killing themselves every week. So I would be interested to know if this course is helping students to deal with the ethical challenges that they face. What can we use? What can you propose that we use to assess the impact of this ethics across the curriculum? You said the professors were struggling with how to evaluate and you train them. What I see with most students is that if they know a course, they will sit an examination at the end of the year or the semester, they will memorize and write the answers. I wonder what methods of evaluation were you using, and how effective are they in terms of bringing about these ethical changes? I think, I looked at, I wanted to propose or suggest an additional method or a pedagogical, which I use with my students, value clarification. And I came across people who have written about it. I didn't see it in your proposed methods. Overall, I think it is a very good model that can be used to entrench ethics across the curriculum. And I really congratulate Globethics for establishing this center and cooperating with them to undertake research in this area. And I'm looking forward to see how the research will progress. Those are my comments for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane, so much for those valuable reflections. You posted a lot of, you said a lot of questions that maybe in the Q&A session, Manuela will answer. And I will recommend to the audience to feel free to post your question in the Q&A box at any time during the session. We will address them, so please do that to contribute to this dialogue. And now I would like to introduce our second respondent. Ivana Zagorac is a professor at the University of Zagreb in Croatia, working in the field of philosophy with a special emphasis on the philosophy of education, the philosophy of emotion, and ethics. Please, Ivana, go ahead.
Thank you very much for this announcement, and thank you all very much for inviting me here. This is really a wonderful moment for me, because I was really delighted to learn that there are a lot of people, obviously, that are questioning the same questions and that they are dealing with the same issues regarding the ethics education, especially in higher education. So I was positively surprised when I heard all that and read these documents. And also, of course, many thanks to Manuela and her team for all the work that they have done. I have to agree, of course, that we live in time where, as Manuela said at the beginning, we are facing the erosion of democracy, and that is challenging in many aspects, and that we also, regarding the ethics and ethical concern, and especially ethical education, we are also facing fragmentation and disconnection between theory and practice, and ideals, and what is reality. And I also have to agree that with something that I think Manuela also said at the beginning, that ignorance of ethical issues is actually the main problem. So we all have to work, and I think that we all agree on that we all have to work with our students and with members of our communities just to be more sensitive to these issues. And I have actually my comments are on two levels. One is theoretical and the other one is practical. My first comment is exactly on the goal of ethics education. At the university, we all agree that we would like to help producing good professionals that also take care of ethical issues in their profession. But ethics education, in my opinion, is here also to help in educate good citizens. So there is a great space in between the education of good professionals and education of good people. And I think that this program fits in that area. However, I do see that there are a few challenges here. First is the challenge of how to transfer ethical knowledge from profession into the structure of personality, into being a good person. And at the beginning, you mentioned that your program has some ethical information about ethical theories and so on, but that you're focused on more practical issues. So the first challenge that I see here is that knowledge transferable? Do you see it as some knowledge that of ethics that could be applied in one field can be transferred into another field? Does that narrow focus actually helps or does not help in widening the ethical horizons of students? So this is this empty space in between, and it is very hard to deliver all what is needed in one short course that you have. So I have noted this challenge of being transferable knowledge. And again, that challenge of interdisciplinarity. What does interdisciplinary actually means in this context of ethics education? We can apply ethical principles to a particular case, and we always do that. We are applying ethical principles to a particular case related to a profession, let's say. But is that actually interdisciplinary? So this is the challenge that I myself have no clear answer to it. But I wonder whether ethics could really be this cross-cutting element across the curriculum, or is it only knowledge how to apply certain principles to a concrete problem? So this all belongs, of course, to this gap between being a good citizen and being a good professional. I also have some practical concerns. I will not go into details regarding that, and I see that my time is already up, but I will just underline what Jane just said, and that is this practical issue of evaluation, how to evaluate this knowledge, and I think that is really important, and I will not go into explaining that because Jane already said something about it, so thank you.
Thank you, Ivana, and thank you both for showcasing how adaptable this strategic are to other contexts. I would like to ask Manuela if you would like to say or respond to the reaction of Ivana and Jane.
Yes, thank you so much
to
both of you for the very interesting points. And of course, I think we're on the same page. These are issues that we've thought about. So regarding Jane's question about the evaluation strategies, this is a big one in ethics education, because of course, how can you have like an evaluation that is authentic when you're talking about ethical behavior, and you just go up to a point, because you cannot evaluate how these students are going to behave in real life at the end, right? So you can have simulations, you can have scenarios, you can put them to do some case studies that are practical, but how they're going to behave in their daily lives, and if this is ethical or not. This is like the step that we would really like to achieve. But it's like it's not possible in the classroom scenarios, right? But we are thinking about how to evaluate the models. So one of the things that we've done is that we do evaluate perception of the students. So at the end of each course, we have a survey for students who evaluate the course and the professor in terms of the different learning goals that are related to ethics. And we have the data of all the Epsilon courses of these surveys from students. But this, of course, only evaluates student perception, which has nothing to do with whether they have learned ethics or not. So in order to do that, we are actually right now, we're working on an evaluation of the model at a broad scale. So what we want to do is we want to incorporate an ethical component to a standard proof that they do when they start the university. So when they enter an entrance exam that they do, and we want to get some data from there to have the baseline, and then we are working on an evaluation when they finish, so that we can at least have some preliminary ideas about how the Epsilon courses and the ethical education they're receiving in the university is changing their way of thinking about moral issues. Whether they're going to act on that in their real lives, that is the question that I wish we could tackle, but it's very difficult. But we are thinking about an evaluation on the broad scale of the model. With respect to Ivana's question, which I think was also a very good one, on the gap, well, of course, I think this is not a gap, but a spectrum, right? So the good professional is the good citizen, and this is a matter of degree and not a qualitative difference. We have an advantage in our university because we do have a general education model in the university where all students have to take general education courses, because the main purpose of the university is to train and educate good citizens. So this is part of our mission at the university in Uniandes. And so the university does not see itself as a technical university where you just go there to learn the technical skills for a particular profession and that's it. We see our mission as doing that, teaching the technical part, but also educating good citizens. And so all our students have like this general education, which is a good part, like a fourth of their credits are on general education for every program. And so we do have that baseline where we can, teach students. And so the model that we're transitioning in is going to put a lot of emphasis on ethical training in that ethical general education time for or period of the students' university life. And then each program at the curricular level has also to identify where ethical training in their own program, in their disciplinary courses makes sense. And so that we tackle both levels that you were mentioning. I know we have very little time. I just wanted to say thank you for the questions. Yeah.
We have two questions in the chat box.
Exactly.
Do you want to raise it, or I can read for you if you want?
Yeah, no, I have them. I have them here. Yeah. So Sonia.
Okay, please.
Sonia says that what activities are a part of these courses to ensure that attainment of learning outcomes. And then Warren says, in assessing students on ethical behavior or action, is it enough to assess students through real life dilemmas, or is something more needed? Yeah, and so to answer Warren's question, yeah, something more is needed. It's very difficult when you're talking about ethics to do authentic evaluation, because you don't know how people, I mean, we've seen it, that people know their ethics. I mean, some ethicists have been involved in these huge scandals as well, right? So the people who know the most about ethics do not behave ethically. So this is a huge problem, right? We think we can do a lot by trying to evaluate students with real life situations, as practical as you can get, and help them understand and prepare on how they would react when they they face these dilemmas in their real life. I think it's also related to Sonia's question, right? And so we really want to have evaluative activity, assessment activities in the courses that are close to what they are going to experience in the real life as professionals. Yeah, I think this is as far as we can get for now. You can think of other scenarios when you may go to, like maybe follow your graduates, your alumni, and see what they're doing in real life. I don't know, but this is as far as we're going right now.
Thank you, Manuela. We are almost out of time. Thank you, everyone, to contribute with questions and and our panelists for their thoughtful answers. We will continue exchange through email. So if you want, you could contact us. And I would like to also extend a final invitation. If you are interested in piloting or deepening ethics integration at your institutions, please reach out to us at academy@globethics.net. You can find the email address in the chat. We are also proud to share that Globethics project amplifying the voice of the Global South for ethical knowledge and education in the information society has been nominated for the WSIS Prizes 2025. You can scan the QR code on your screen to vote, and we will be posted the link in the chat as well. I would also I would like to extend our thanks to Valeriano, Dider, Linda from the Center of Applied Ethics for their support in developing this webinar. Also, thank you, Amelie, Veronica, and Josie, our colleagues at Globethics, for their support. And on behalf of Globethics and our speakers, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to continue this global dialogue and seeing ethics come alive across the curricula worldwide. Have a great day and stay inspired. Thank you very much.